Morning, good morning. Or good evening, Peggy. All right, you ready?
Yes, sorry, I don't remember what I was doing exactly.
Welcome to Books We Never Read.
Except for those we have.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Jason.
I just finished the book, our reading for the book. And welcome to our first reading of Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is your first time joining us. Welcome to the book club. Please make sure that you've read up to the covered portion because we talk about it as if you've also read it. So if you haven't read it yet, pause the video, go back, read, and then come back. And then join us next week and the week after for the remainder of the book. We encourage you to join us in the chat if we're live with us, or to join us in the comment section if you're catching us on the replay. We love to talk about the book over and over again to keep it alive, and to kind of get your take on everything. We love reliving the books. So, with all that being said,
Before we get into anything, I want to tell everybody that on this day in history, I have a this day in history today.
oh,
7 years ago, Nicole and I met each other for the first time. Just throwing it out. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. It's not a literary day. Not yet. Not yet.
but maybe one day.
Maybe someday. Yeah. Anyway, you want to just dive right in?
Let's dive right in. This is so Sherlock Holmes. I remember comparing 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle to Sherlock Holmes. Just there's something about the style and about how Stuart Turton gives you so much information and so many clues, but he withholds a little bit there at the very end, so you can't quite solve it yourself. That's very Sherlock Holmes style. And as soon as we started reading this one, as soon as we learned about Sammy, I was like, okay, well, this is literally Sherlock Holmes,
Right.
in the style of Sherlock Holmes.
Just like a Dutch Sherlock
Sammy
Holmes.
is, yeah, Sherlock von Holmes. So, and even though it was really hard switching over to this book from our previous book, I felt like I was reading a whole different language there for a minute. And it was just hard to keep track of all the characters,
Yes.
and just everything was crazy. Now that I'm in it, I'm in it.
Yeah, so I'm the same way. I finished a couple days ago, and I was sad that I had to finish and stop reading. I'll probably just keep reading as soon as we're done. Peggy's saying the same thing that you're saying, and I agree that, and it's not even perhaps that this is so many characters, even though I bet that it is on average. It's that we went from a book with basically 2 characters that
Yeah.
mattered to 20 characters that are all Dutch names, and that's difficult to say the least. So that's been pretty interesting, and I agree about the Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. And again, if you've never read
7.5
7.5
Deaths.
Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, you should go back and read that one. Now there are some differences I think between this book and that book. Number one is we really only had one narrator in 7.5 Deaths, and kind of the conceit of that book is that the one narrator
Is
is every
8 different
character
people.
at some point. And so that's kind of interesting. Do you want to hop up? All right, our third book club member. Hey, get up here. Come on. Come on.
She might pull the light down. She's tangled up a little
I
bit.
gotcha, I
Wait,
gotcha.
back up.
Wait. Oh.
Oh my god.
We're never letting you back.
Sorry.
All right, come here.
Okay, come on up. Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, all right. She said,
This
you know
is-
what? I would have done a better job on my own.
This is.
There we go.
We're messing up the whole book club doing this. Sorry.
There we go. Okay.
You're just not going to be allowed back. Banished.
No, she's
Anyway.
a good member of the book club.
She is a good member of the book club. I think people like having her around, so that's okay. Anyway, so you kind of have one narrator, and definitely throughout you kind of have this. The point of having the one narrator is throughout we really asked ourselves, is this narrator reliable?
Right.
And that was a big problem for us. And I keep thinking about that as we're going through this book, but I'm not sure that we can have an unreliable narrator because we don't really have one. You know, we're popping around and seeing things from Sarah's point of view or Arnk's point of view.
Or
Creasy, yeah, maybe.
Cress. And
Is it? That's how you say it?
I think so, yeah. And or Karis. And the captain. We get a little bit of the captain's point of view. It's not Cromwell, it's
Yeah, something else.
something.
The
And
Dutch version.
Peggy also says, we were given multiple suspects very quickly
Yes.
in this book.
Well, so I think she was saying. Oh yeah. That's true, and I don't know if y'all want to play, but crawls. Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
I would kind of like to play.
Who done it?
Yeah, let's go through all the people and think of. And so number one, we know we have a mystery. We know it's this old Tom situation from the old country. We know that somehow it has found its way here now, but not while they were in Batavia. It's like only while they're on this ship that
Right.
most of the characters that we have talked about, almost all of them, but not quite all of them. All right, see you. Okay, she can't come back anymore.
Oh, she's so sweet though.
I know. Anyway, most of them are tied into Old Tom in the old country, but not everybody. And but we don't even know if this is real, like, right? So like, I don't know that it matters, but like, am I looking for a demon? Am I looking for a demon that is a person? Like, what are we really looking for? And I suppose we're looking for a person because I'm looking for a demon. I don't know how to find that. But I don't know if it's supernatural or not. And so playing whodunit may not even matter.
Right. Who's the vice countess?
She is the woman that people were saying, like, well, what if... She's the woman who is, like, caught hacking up a lung in her cabin and, like, missed dinner that time, and everybody was talking about her bad. And then they were saying that they heard scraping sounds in her room. I agree. I think it's too obvious.
Okay, so I had to read really fast to finish up. So
The reason you don't remember
that.
her is because she's a character you never meet.
Okay, I remember hearing about the scraping sounds, but I missed the stuff about her.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's up with Bosie, the potential lame tongue cut out leper from the beginning who caught on fire, and Larmy having two halves of a BFF necklace?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, like, so either they're BFFs or lovers or something. They could be brothers. What if we have that? I don't know. I'm not sure that it matters yet, and it may never matter. It could just be, what if they found something and couldn't agree on who got it, so they each took half. Like, I don't know. But obviously, Larmy knows something and he's not talking about it.
Right, and our leper made an appearance in the porthole.
Yeah. So far, the leper is the only evidence that we have that anything potentially supernatural, if supernatural at all, is happening. Because like drawing the eyeball with the tail on the sail is not supernatural in any way.
How
Right?
did nobody see somebody do that?
Right. And so you could argue that that's supernatural, but Bosie talking without a tongue and then catching fire, that is the only potentially supernatural thing that we've seen.
Yeah. And what's up with the ghost ship? There's 8 lights out there and not 7. That's whoever was hovering in the porthole. That has to be part of his escape route, right?
Yeah.
And since that boat was gone by morning and there was no way that it could have gotten away that fast,
Then there's no boat.
It has to be like a life raft, something that's attached to the ship.
Yeah, but they also knew that it was the light from an Indiaman, right? Like they knew it was that particular lantern.
Yeah.
So like somebody might have a bonus lantern floating around, and they,
But it has to be something that's connecting to the ship. That they just can't see it or something. I don't know how ships work.
Yeah.
But it can't just disappear. It has to go somewhere. So
Unless it's supernatural, then it can
Right.
just disappear. I'm kind of hoping it's a just straight up demon, and then we have like a demon battle at the end. Because it's very common with Sherlock Holmes where you have these sorts of things and you think it's supernatural, because that's like the Victorian mindset. We were talking about this a little bit last night.
yeah.
But about like everybody's interested in the supernatural, and then you find out it's just some like rich guy who's pulling a prank on people or whatever. In one of the Sherlock Holmes movies that they've done recently, that's kind of the thing, is that this evil man is back from the dead, but he never really died.
Right.
And, that's kind of the deal with these. But I want a demon battle or
Yeah.
aliens.
Yeah.
I'm really, really hoping for aliens.
Peggy says she has a crazy person in mind for the whodunit, and I
Okay, I do too.
want to know. Say it.
Okay, well, so do we want to go through people? Like, do y'all want to go through the list and be like, yes, no, whatever? Like, we could do that. We've got plenty of time.
Yeah. We got plenty of time.
We do. We're only 10 minutes
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so governor,
Okay,
Jan Han.
Jan Han, right? So he's abusive to his wife. He wasn't like this when he was, or Art doesn't remember him like this as a child. And there's kind of this idea that old Tom would change the personality of people. And so we're sort of led to think that maybe it could be him. If old Tom, if but let's not just play like could it be old Tom? Like what if it's something else? And I think that if it is the governor, he's in cahoots with someone else.
Okay.
We'll come back to this.
Chamberlain Cornelius Voss.
He's so boring. It's probably him.
Drecht.
Who?
Drecht.
Oh, the captain. Yeah. Honestly, it could be him too. I hadn't thought of that. All right. Well, let's just do this because there's a lot of characters, right? So if there is a demon on board, my number one pick is Lila,
Oh.
the daughter.
Leah.
Yes, whatever. Leah. Because they make several. Because number one, you don't suspect it. Mm-hmm. Number two, they make several allusions to like she's brilliant and she's all
gifts.
these. Yeah, she has these gifts. Well, what are these gifts? They're demonic gifts. That's kind of what I think.
And that they're going to France where she won't be persecuted for these gifts.
Right, but also where she could go back to the old country or whatever and return to do her thing.
Peggy says yes.
Yeah, good, Peggy. That's awesome. So, Leah is my number one pick. My number two pick is that there's no demon at all,
Sure.
and that this is some that I'm not sure what, but maybe it's a plot to try to ferret out some kind of disloyalty or something, and this plot is being done by the governor and Sammy, and that they agreed to this to put Sammy away in chains so that people wouldn't suspect him. But what Sammy is doing is, I don't know, something where he's investigating secretly to try to find something. I don't know what, but something. That's my second pick.
Interesting.
Because if there's no demon, I don't think it's Leah, right? Like if it's just like somebody torturing them because of stuff or whatever, we don't have a good motive yet for why somebody would be doing this if it's
Right.
not an actual demon.
And what's up with the folly?
Yeah, what is that? We were briefly described it.
Yeah, like a bronze
Box.
ball in a in a box, a 3-piece situation. Something just decorative. But like, why is it important?
Or it could be an instrument of like a I almost got like an astrolabe kind of feel from it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know.
Kharkov. That made me laugh. It's the only line that one guy said. Kharkov.
Yeah, so one other option is that like the demon could be Sammy,
Yeah. Yeah, so why is he imprisoned?
Yeah, so that
If it's not some kind of cover up for
right.
like, to a distraction from the fact that he's doing stuff.
This is almost like yes, I agree. The whole point is that they found the folly, whatever that thing is. And then he goes in for like an hour-long meeting with the governor, comes back out and is arrested. Mm-hmm. And that to me, and Sammy doesn't know why. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a conversation between the governor and Arndt about, like, you should stay away from him, and I just not could tell you what it is. And in that conversation, the governor does appear to me to be sincere about the fact that Sammy is dangerous.
Yeah. And that Arndt not knowing will protect him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll be so shocked and disgusted by it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The captain at one point says that superstition is the only thing keeping them afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Seafaring folk are very superstitious.
You gotta be. You gotta be a little crazy. No, ma'am. Back up. Thank you.
I just want to snuggle.
I know. You just stay right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was just a lot of, like, human commentary. Mm-hmm. There's so much description in this narration. Mm-hmm. And I like it, but unfortunately I was having to rush through it, so I missed a lot of it. But, I liked this line, wealth was their master, and it was the only voice they heeded. Mm-hmm. Friendships were sacrificed at its behest, principles trampled to protect it. No matter how much they had, it was never enough. They went mad chasing more until they sat lonely on top of their hoard, despised and afraid.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good
I also
one.
highlighted that one.
Oh.
Yeah. And you know, and that's kind of talking about like Arndt's family and why he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to become one of the gentlemen 17 and all these sorts of things. But you know, we are also led to sort of believe like it could be Arndt, and I feel like it's too obvious to be true. And if it's him, I'm going to be very disappointed. But like, what if he went into the woods when he was a child and murdered his dad because he's possessed by a demon,
Yeah.
and he was out there putting
Putting
symbols on people's doors. Now somebody else was doing it too, right?
Right.
It wasn't just him, as best we are led to believe.
Right.
But
Just witch trials.
yeah.
It could all be misconstrued by old Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Way too many people know about Arndt. Like way too many people, and so I don't know. This is all falling apart now. I mean, like
It just started.
all this stuff is like coming back into my head, right? But like the governor did insist on being on this particular ship. That's the other thing that makes me
Yes.
suspicious about this being some sort of plan between him and Sammy. I have to be on this boat because X reason, you know.
Do you think he wants his daughter killed?
No. I think he's like a bad dude, right? Like, but that's unrelated to him, you know, trying to solve this mystery or whatever. Yeah, like what if the folly is a trap? You know, what if it's not real? Maybe somebody's trying to steal it or something else. Now, there's also not just the folly. There's something else on this boat that takes up more space. You know,
Which is why they only have partial rations.
and we don't know anything about what that is yet.
So weird. Yeah, is the predicant good or evil?
I see this like Rasputin kind of character in my mind, and he definitely appears evil. But
Anyone carrying that book around.
yeah, but he's also
Has
like
problems.
praying, and usually evil characters don't do that, even if they are mimicking like a priest or something.
So I think they're saying we're supposed to see the witchfinders as evil and the priests as good.
Well, so the predicant is both. He is both a priest and a witchfinder, right? He's the last of the order of witchfinders.
Oh. Ooh, he's got the good and the bad in him.
And he snuck on the boat, right? He
Yeah.
snuck on. Donk. But yeah, so I mean I don't even know, right? Like I could talk all day about who it could be or whatever.
There's just so many
Yeah.
people.
But let's cross some people off the list. I do not think that it's Sarah
Okay.
or Christy.
Gracie?
It looks like Christy.
And in the book, it sounded like they were calling her Gracie. And then when I read it, I thought they were maybe calling her Karis. I don't know.
It's Creesjie.
But that J-I-E is never
Yeah.
pronounced.
Yeah.
He didn't sneak. His congregation paid his ticket.
Well, no, he said that to somebody, but there's a scene in the book, and they came up on ropes, so I guess what. But there was the scene when he gets on the boat. Everybody is distracted by Arndt holding the sword to that other guy, and then Brecht putting the sword to Arndt's chest, and that's when the predicant and his helper sneak onto the ship without anybody seeing them. I suppose it wasn't sneaking, but it does specifically say that nobody saw them when they came on.
Yeah. I worry about his ward.
Yeah,
That girl.
Isabel.
Yeah. I don't think that she's safe.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I mean, like, and we could go through all of this and then find out that, like, old Tom is real and it's some random sailor, right? Like, there's still hundreds of people on this ship that we
Yeah.
have unnamed.
And all of those miserable people down in the bottom. I don't know how people survived this.
I mean, for 8 months, this isn't right. Like, so they talk about at some point they talk about the Cape or the Horn. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, they make it sound like they're talking about Africa, right? Like the tip of
Yeah.
Africa, but like Batavia is Jakarta now. That's
Yeah.
Indonesia. It's a long way to go.
Yeah. And at the very beginning, they talked about how horrible of a trip it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like any ocean-going ship at that journey at that time was awful. Yeah. Yeah, the Cape of Good Hope. Yeah, which is the bottom of Africa.
Don't know how anyone does it. How is Isabel going to kill the demon? I did not understand that explanation.
Well, I don't know. I don't have any good guesses about that. You can come up. Unbanished. I also agreed that I don't think it's the head merchant because he's just too weaselly, and I don't think Old Tom would do that if Old Tom is real at all. Like what if it is the head merchant or Voss or somebody who knows that this Old Tom thing was a problem for people in the past? Why did it happen 30 years ago and it's just back now?
Right.
What is that? Why does it matter at all? So.
And poor Gracie or Crescia or whatever thinks it's after her, because she got complacent.
Her husband, yeah.
She quit running.
And there's still the chance that she's the person who killed her husband. And,
What do you think? Oh, you read the book, huh?
Why don't you turn around and lay down? That's one of the.
And it's not the sons.
Yeah. I doubt it's one of the. I doubt it's any kid but Leah. She's the only kid I'm willing to put on the table for as an option. But that's sort of the brilliance of Stuart Turton and 7.5 Deaths is exactly the same way, where there's good reasons. You are led to believe it's basically everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone has secrets. Everyone has stuff to hide.
Well, and then in 7.5 Deaths, there's like a major bait and switch, and will that happen here? And that's why I'm leaning towards Sammy being involved, because Sammy being imprisoned reminds me of certain elements of 7.5 Deaths.
Yeah, and gosh, his whole situation sounds horrible. Like how small his cell is, and he's just. He had to just lean over and take a big poo when he got up.
Yeah.
Like, that is a detail you don't normally see in a book.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, talk about, I get claustrophobic, and the idea of being on a boat on the ocean makes me claustrophobic, but to be in a closet in a boat on the ocean that's hellacious. And so they have this thing, nobody's really seen inside this closet, they just know it's small, right? Art hasn't really looked around in there, but like, what if Sammy can move around in there and get to other parts of the ship from there and be the what if he can be the leper
right
from that point? What if we find out towards the end of the book that Arndt and Sarah are somehow involved maybe they're involved in this plot and they know that the leper wasn't really a leper or something? Like what if it's not really a dead guy? Because like somebody died so far, right? Like that's. If this is like a trick, that part is weird.
Yeah.
But what if that's a trick?
Yeah.
And nobody dies. And Arndt just says, hey, it's a leper. And Sarah says, yeah, it is. And then they chop the head off of a corpse or something,
There was a mention of a woman in the walls. Did you catch that?
Yes. They did they had a famous case where they found that man's wife had been living in the walls. Yeah.
Yeah, so what if Sammy's just in the walls?
I kind of thought that at the time, like, what if this is a hint about, Sammy in the walls?
Also, flashbacks to the retreat.
Yeah.
Yikes. Oh, yeah, and then a throwback to Wrong Place, Wrong Time when they said they needed to solve a crime that hadn't happened yet.
We have a very particular type of mystery that we like.
Well, and, like, we're just kind of choosing random stuff that people say is good.
Yeah, that was recommended to us by somebody who's not even in the book club.
Yeah. And so I just picked this because it was a Stuart Turton book that was very available. He has a newer book that I wanted to pick, but it was very hard to get a copy of. So, yeah. But, I mean, Stuart Turton very much has a style. It's hard to get into, but once you're in it, you're immersed.
Yes.
I hated having to rush through the last part of the reading because taking time on all these details builds the world out so much. Yeah. You really get kind of lost into the movie of it, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think, there are so many bad characters here. There's, we still haven't even talked about the Witch or White or whatever his name is, the guy who keeps all the people in line, who's beating the little boy that told Sarah, And then, like, Larmy is not a particularly good person, and of course, the head merchant isn't a good person, and maybe the captain isn't a particularly good person. I don't know. But the point is, like, at this time in this trade, there were not good people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really was a very gross affair.
Yeah.
And not just for the people who were going back and forth, but for the people who were on the receiving end in Indonesia and all these other colonies, and for the people who served, back in the homeland, and beyond just being like a fun whodunit, it's kind of interesting to see. I don't know. I feel like you read like pirate books and adventure books, and you miss out on the part where like everybody's starving half the time, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, like this compared to Trust of the Emerald Sea.
right.
Very different.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with this word that we're pretty sure Wyke
Mm.
could translate, but it's not a real word? What do y'all think it is? Do you think it's like part of a word, part of a sentence?
Laxagore, is that what it is, or
Something like
Yeah.
that.
I think that it is. And where did they hear it from? They heard it from
The leper.
the leper. He said it,
Mm-hmm.
like while he was dying.
Um,
I don't remember that. I don't
I
remember
don't
that part. Somebody help me
remember.
out here. Anyway, but the point is, oh yes, it does come from the leper because the leper has no tongue. I think that it's not this weird word in this weird language. I think it's a word like imagine
Right.
right?
They're trying to say something without,
I think they're and so I've been trying to go over and over and over again.
like, what could it be?
Yeah, what are they misunderstanding to come up with this word?
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
What if it's like last aboard or something like that, right? Like you see what I'm doing here,
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't know.
Ooh. Who was the last aboard? It was the priest.
Or Isabella, actually.
Right.
It was Isabella.
Isabella.
Yeah. That's interesting.
You done did it.
La Clella.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to find
if that's it, I'm I'm just like, what? Okay, just came up with that. It could be.
Oh, goodness.
But like, if it's old Tom, why bother? If it's really this demon thing, or let's say old Tom was never really a real demon, but it was a person who was doing this and is now doing it again. What is the reason for being on this ship? If it's going after Christy or whatever her name is, why couldn't he do that at Batavia? Why do you have to wait till the boat? Why do any of this at all? Who cares if she got away? Like, who cares about bringing this back?
Yeah. Well, and like by the end of chapter 25, we see how everyone is so interrelated.
Mm-hmm.
They all have this history that intertwines itself. So there's just no telling who he's after. He could
Right.
be after any of them.
Well, it could be after all of them, and the whole point of Old Tom was that it went after like the royalty, and so it could be somebody still going after royalty,
Which could be.
Well, it'd be the Governor General in this case, but
Or errant.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, get all the bad people together and get revenge in one place at one time.
Yeah. But like they were all in Batavia together, right? Everybody who's on this boat was in Batavia.
Uh-huh.
Everybody. And nobody just, as best we know, nobody just arrived in Batavia and then left again.
And then, yeah.
The most recent person to get to Batavia seems to be the predicant. But he's been there long enough to like make a congregation, allegedly. We have not actually seen that, but he says it.
Right. So Piter was never found.
Yeah.
So, but there is comment that he was tortured.
Yeah. And there's like blood on the walls and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, any missing body, that person is not dead. And you should learn that from any scary show ever. If you don't see the body, they ain't dead.
Yeah.
And even with this leper, she gave her hairpin to some, little beggar on the street and said, just make sure he gets his proper burial and he's buried in the gates and not outside.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Peggy's version of the book, I think, has a picture of the ship. Peggy always has diagrams.
Very cool.
I don't know how she gets them. Maybe it was Aaron's dad.
Did Sammy ask if somebody's body? Yeah, yeah. Arndt's dad was never found, right? So we also don't know that he's dead. That dude just never comes back out of the woods.
Yeah. He just dipped out.
Yeah.
Who are the men 17 or whatever it's
The
called?
gentleman 17. They're the heads of the company. They have like a committee. Yeah.
Are they anonymous or anything?
No.
Or they're one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so they're going back because the governor general is going to become one of them.
2 questions, says Peggy. Does a man share more with his wife or his mistress? And how does a dude send for a mistress? Mail order?
I thought that part was really interesting. That, number one, that it's such an open fact that he has a mistress while he has a wife, that they're tight. You know, that the mistress is going to marry a nobleman, which like seems kind of fishy. I mean, I don't know enough about court life, I guess, at this time to know how that all works. But like, it seems weird.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole situation is interesting. Yeah, and the mistress is leaving Batavia to marry another dude.
Yeah.
That everyone's okay with this situation.
Yep.
Yeah. How weird.
But I'm glad that she and Sarah are friends. Like, that they have each
Yeah.
other, you know, and that...
Yeah, Sarah sees her as a bright spot in the world.
Mhm.
Someone who came in and just...
Well, she took some pressure off her.
Yeah. It changed everything for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, you know, I never understood how, you know, people in situations could be okay with mistresses and whatnot, and I get it. Reading this, I'm like, yep, sure. Whatever, get them off of me. Oh, she ran off from her first husband? I guess I missed that.
Well, she didn't have to divorce him because he's allegedly dead.
The first husband. Oh, wait, the first husband...
Oh, no, you're right. Her second husband
is
was
the one, Piter, is the one that she
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
so
you're right,
fond
you're
of.
right, you're right.
Who was killed. She does have a mess on her hands, and she does seem to be the messiest one here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You know, and part of me also thinks, like, what if this person what if it was the Witchfinder who was doing all this? Like, if you have a job that is fake,
Right.
then you create
You
demons.
work pretty hard at keeping up.
so that you can have something to
Your-
hunt or whatever.
Yeah, your job security.
Yeah.
I got so tickled when Sarah and Gracie, Crestia, whatever, were chatting about the different people, and Gracie or Crestia, whatever her name is, mentioned Errant, and it was like, it's somewhere on the boat. Errant blushed at the mention of his name by this woman. Just talking about like how unreal her effect is on other people.
Mhm.
You know, she really does seem to have quite a draw.
Yeah.
So she kind of seems supernatural as well.
You know, and like, I don't support people cheating on each other or whatever, but every time we read a book like this with some lady who has like a terrible husband and she starts like hitting on the main character, I'm like, yeah, okay, y'all do your thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sarah is real taken by Errant.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have no good guesses. Next week's reading will be a good discussion because we'll have, hopefully, more clues.
And I feel like
play
the
with.
middle is when you're just like, I don't know anything anymore.
Oh, we're not going to have any good guesses,
Yeah.
but you know, we will have more connections revealed to us, and we'll be able to draw more lines. And that's the fun of this, is I want to guess. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, and by the end of 7.5 Deaths, we were like, oh, well, that guess was right, and that guess was right, and we totally knew this, but we didn't know that, and you guess so many things that you get a couple of them in there.
Yeah. Well, 7.5 Deaths has a huge twist that is in no way related to the mystery. Like, it's related, but
And
like it
you
doesn't.
didn't see
it
it
doesn't
coming
matter at all about the mystery.
at all.
And so part of me thinks, like, what if that happens here?
I keep waiting.
And I would love for that to happen.
I
Yeah.
keep waiting for a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Peggy is rooting for Sarah and Errant.
Yeah. You know, and so like, you know, if there's a demon on board and we need to like be fighting against that, how much energy do I need to devote to hoping that like the governor general falls off the boat and gets like left, or like do I want that to happen? Is he really a bad guy? And like I think he's a bad guy. He tells these weird stories about like genociding an island, and he beats his wife and doesn't let his daughter do anything. Seems like a bad dude. But if he's not a demon, like is he really the threat? Like,
Well, and I think that we find that the worst demons are people. I mean, we
Yeah.
are just the worst of it. Shelby has other club related news. Number one, Verity's going to be a movie.
oh, cool. Hey!
And number two, she found a cross stitch for Kiss My Bop.
I love it. I love it. Excuse us.
Sorry. Man.
Somebody earlier said that we are gonna like Scooby Doo this one. I thought that was very funny.
It's Atlas. Atlas is a Scooby.
She's the Scooby Doo.
She said there are no ghosts. It's all just terrible people.
Mm-hmm. As long as they stay off our lawn, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think Jan Han is wretched, and there's something going on there.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's the fact that he's determined to be on this particular boat. He won't listen to anyone about the warnings and the dangers. Right. He's in on something.
The fact that he's such a bad person is kind of the only evidence that I have that this is not something that he and Sammy are working on together. Because if he and Sammy are working together to discover some plot, and this is the way they're doing it for whatever reason, then it means that in the end, Jan Han is like kind of a good guy, right? Like he's the one who found the thing that was going to sink the boat or whatever. And I don't think that we as an audience want that.
No, we don't want him to have any redeeming qualities.
Right. Well, yeah, we don't like complicated characters.
We want him to die at the bottom of the ocean.
Yes, yes.
And, when he embraces Errant, he does say, like, truly, be careful about Sammy. He is not as good of a person as you think he is.
Well, none of them are, so.
Right.
And we don't know Sammy very well at all. He's kind of pitched to us. We feel at first that he's the main character because he's pitched that way.
We assume he's going to be our hero.
And then he's not.
He's going to come out and solve this whole mystery at the end. He's going to Sherlock Holmes it, and we're going to be like, well, what did we all go through all this for?
Maybe.
You knew it the whole time.
I hope this is a story about Errant finding his way.
Yeah.
Like he did this thing where like the guy killed himself or died or almost died.
Yeah, he almost got someone hanged, and it was the wrong person.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting to have a story about the sidekick,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, some good stuff in the chat. Some good ideas about future conflicts.
Yeah. So they moved all the other. I don't know. I'm not sold on the ghost ship thing. Like I just don't know. When you're in the dark and you're on the ocean, there's some like optical illusions that you can play.
Which is why ghost ships are a thing.
Right. And there's no evidence at all that old Tom is into like doing boats.
Right.
From the past times. And so like why would he have a ghost ship? He's not like a Davy Jones kind of character. He's he's a landlubber generally.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I just need to keep reading.
Yeah.
We just have all this up in the air. We done seen a ghost out the porthole.
Yeah. That part is concerning. That part bothers me more than the light on the ocean.
That is very concerning. How he just levitating outside that porthole?
And that's why I think it's Sammy. Because I feel like Sammy could have like secret passageways and stuff, and that's why this boat was chosen.
And there's no ledge.
Yeah.
But how would Sammy willingly put himself into that little spot? He came out with vomit all over him and everything.
Yeah, but that's part of the act.
Ugh. I can smell it. So gross.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you put yourself through that? Even if it's an act, you still have vomit on you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fake that.
Sure. I agree.
Boy.
Yeah. Aaron's kind of like a one-man army, right?
Yeah.
He just is.
he does seem to be a really cool guy, and
Yes.
he seems to have good character.
Yes.
You know, he seems to be a good person, which is nice to see.
Yeah. He and Sarah are the only people, and I guess Leah are the only people who stand out so far as being more or less innocent. I mean, so he's not though, right? Because he did this thing where he drew stuff on people's doors, and there was this old Tom
And
dude
it caused a whole
who
Salem
got
witch
killed.
trials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caused
So I
a
take that
whole hoopla. But he was a kid when that happened. Kids do stupid stuff and don't realize that there's consequences for it.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Any theories about the other boats in the fleet?
Yeah, so there's another option, right? Like, what if that light was out there taking something off of one of the boats? You're like, what if the reason they're all on the Sardam is so they can not see what all is going on the other ships or something? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and one of those boats is like the red herring, right? And so that way if they're under attack, the wrong boat gets attacked. And
Is it?
right? I mean, if they know that they're subject to like pirates and stuff coming at them, they're not going to put the most expensive thing
Oh, yeah, maybe.
on the most bright and shiny boat. They're going to have like a little decoy somewhere.
Yeah, but with a convoy like this, it's highly unlikely they get attacked by pirates.
Because they have so much protection around them.
Yeah, because pirates usually sail one at a time.
You know, my only experience with pirates is Trust of the Emerald Sea and Treasure Island, which I don't think was pirates.
One ship at a time. Well, I think we've talked about all the major characters, which is kind of what I wanted to do today, was kind of get everybody's feel for these things.
Yeah, when she said God forgot to stop making them.
Yeah, that
they
was funny.
just kept getting bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. Keep on going.
Yeah, there's something about that girl. She got a lot going on. Goodness. Yeah, so we've got a lot to figure out between...
I also like how Sarah and Leah were fans of Sammy's, and now they get to, like, do it. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
That is a lot of fun.
And we get to do it, too.
And that also means that Sarah, and we've already seen this, has a lot of background information and will understand references that they make because she's read all of their manuscripts.
Right.
And when Aaron mentioned something about Lyle, and I don't know how to pronounce that, Lille, the place.
Yeah.
Sarah was immediately like, there was no manuscript on that one.
Right.
This one was a secret mission that they didn't talk about.
Right.
So that'll be... So, again, with like the Sherlock Holmes style, there are all of these things that people have internally going on that you are not privy to. So you get to see a lot of the clues, but when they come down to solving it, there's no way that you could guess it because you don't have that information.
Right.
And in 7.5 Deaths, Stuart Turton was so forthcoming with all this information, but in those last few chapters, all of a sudden it was... And you didn't get to hear the conversation, or it was something was scrawled on paper, but you didn't get to read it.
Yes.
He withheld these things.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating.
It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
So we need to prepare ourselves for that.
Yeah.
That we have all of this information.
You knew everything that your narrator knew until
you don't.
3/4 of the way in, and it would say, and then he picked up a piece of paper and it shocked him, and you're like,
well, what did it say? You've been telling me this whole time.
yeah, and they didn't tell you.
It feels a little bit like a betrayal.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's going to do that to us again.
Well, let's go read.
Let's go read.
Does anybody have any closing thoughts on this one, I guess?
Yeah.
We've lined out all of our characters. We've talked about why or why not they could be a demon. We have discussed, if it's not a demon, what could possibly be the human motivations behind doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. Oh my gosh. And what's... when he was in the body of the fat man, he left us behind. Yes, that's exactly when it happened. If Arendt and Sarah, if something ends up happening, you know, what's Jan Han gonna do when he finds out? That's the scary part. He is a scary guy. Peggy's writing down her theories. All right, guys. Well,
Yeah, I think that's it. We appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us today. And with Atlas, you wanna sit up and say hi? Hi, everybody. She is tired today.
Yeah, she's
Poor
worn
baby.
out.
Anyway, we'll be back next week at this same time to discuss part 2. If you're not sure what part 2 is, it should be in the description box below, or at the very least, it's on the description box of the syllabus. And if it's not there,
It
it's
will
the
be
syllabus
soon.
video itself.
But yeah, it's 26 through 62, and I only remember that because I was like, hee hee, like the numbers are
Okay.
switcherooed. But I'll get those descriptions put in the box soon.
Gotcha.
Sorry, been busy.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
Happy reading!
Bye.
Let me